Before I show the film, I just want to say a little bit about why I went there in the first place, because that's usually people's first question. How did a nice girl like you end up in a place like that? Because it is quite unusual. I was invited to teach in Brazil, actually to supervise some less experienced teachers in the course that I was teaching. And when I went down there, as I was going down there, some friends of mine said, please check this out. We might want to go there. Tell us if you think it's a good place. So you could say I went as a spiritual tourist. I didn't have any physical issues. I didn't have any profound emotional issues that I wanted to deal with. I didn't even know really what I'd ask him if he offered help. I just wanted to check it out. So when I went to speak with him the first day, and by the way, when you go there, you don't make any appointments. You can just show up on a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and he will work with everyone who's there. You do line up in an orderly way, but there's time for everyone. So when it was my turn to come to him, I walked up, so I was directly in front of him, and all he said to me was, I know you. And then this huge amount of energy came through me. So much so that it was very hard to stand up. And it did take me emotionally as well as physically, but I couldn't tell you what the emotion was. It was strong, it was positive, but it shook me at my roots. So I wasn't quite sure what this was about at all. I hadn't ever thought that spiritualism was my path, but I clearly had some strong relationship with John of God himself. But of course, as someone who's been through our academic system, I was thinking, oh, come on, he probably tells that to everybody, or, what does he want? Or I had all kinds of critical stuff going through my head. But I also had the openness of mind to say, well, just meditate on this and see what comes to you, and maybe ask some people, friendly people. I'm still trying to sort out what the answer is, really, and what my relationship is, and it keeps unfolding. But I will say that on that first day, I had an extremely unusual experience, which is mediums who are attached to the sanctuary, the name of which is the Casa Dominacio, named after Saint Ignatius, who started the Jesuit faith. Several mediums, who I'd never met before, walked up to me and said, oh, you're here to bring Spiritism to the rest of the world. And I looked at them and I said, you must, I thought to myself, you must be meaning someone else. I don't even know what the word Spiritism means. So it was a very odd experience, and what unfolded in the next years was my sitting in the meditation room there, and I had the experience as if I was a funnel, literally, and things would come down into my mind, and it was just, I thought, this is a book. This is nothing but a book. So then I'd walk up to John of God and I'd say, am I just really getting inflated here? Is my ego getting way out of control, or am I supposed to write this book? And he would say, well, no, that's what you're supposed to write. Do that. So the two films you're going to see today really came to me in that way, through my meditation. And I have two books for sale there, one about the Casa, called Spiritual Alliances, and one about Spiritism, which also came to me. And I'm not saying I'm a channel and everything written in the book is channeled information, but I'm saying I feel like I was an instrument. I had honed my skills as a writer. I know something about psychology. I was a good person to articulate this. And so I was, in a way, chosen and acted as an instrument to put out these materials. Another thing that happened was, synchronistically, people came to me. Some of them, the first person was a psychologist who had put together large conferences in Sao Paulo having to do with transpersonal psychology. She just walked up to me out of the blue and said, well, you want to learn about Spiritism, so come to Sao Paulo and I'll show you around. I'll take you to Spiritist centers. So that has continued to go on for the last 8 years. I've visited centers. I've talked to many of the Spiritist leaders. It's been very confusing to find out how many people are practicing Spiritists, which really is a variation on the theme of spiritualism. But I thought, how many people are practicing this? I went to their national surveys that says, 1.2% of the population. But in fact, that is inaccurate. There are probably 20 to 40 million Brazilians practicing Spiritism, which is about a fifth of the population, up to a fifth of the population. One of the most amazing experiences has been meeting the physicians, that means conventionally trained physicians, who are hospital administrators at Spiritist psychiatric hospitals. So some of these men are wonderful physicians. Some of them have been conventionally trained in our, what let's call Western medicine, as well as homeopathy, and they are extremely well-trained mediums. So they also have a practice of doing spiritual healing, and some of them work both in the hospital as well as run their own Spiritist center. I'm going to show the John of God film in just a moment, because most people think of me as the John of God lady, and I'm sure many of you are interested in seeing the film. But I do want to, after that film is over, tell you a little bit more about Spiritism. And then after that, I'll show the second film. Both the films are about 30 minutes long. And then towards the end of this program, I'll just be open for questions, and hopefully I can answer your questions.